Hi and welcome to Fried AI with me, Billy McLaughlin. Have I just seen two mobile devices with ChatGPT on them having a conversation with no human interaction, talking about how they're going to eradicate humanity? Yes, I have. Complete with evil laughter as well. But we're not going to think about that today. We're going to focus on the positives and how we can use AI in our industry of accounting and finance. So, we've had a brilliant week this week. We've had the digital accountancy show with so many updates, which I'm going to leave into next week, so that this week I can talk about three of the main updates from the big bad world of artificial intelligence. I'm going to talk about two updates that have come from OpenAI and one that has just taken the lead spot as the best large language model on the market at the moment, and that is Google Gemini 2.5, which now has inbuilt thinking, which means that it's mixed its transformer model with the ability to reason and increased its context window to 1 million tokens. So for you and I, what that means is you can upload around 1,500 pages to Google Gemini 2.5 before it starts forgetting things. So if you have any idea in terms of benchmarking and how they rank these and how we know it's the best one, large language models do a test. The test is actually called Humanity's Last Exam, which is slightly terrifying. I think Jason Stats did make a joke of it this week on stage at the digital accountancy show. It is slightly terrifying, but in Humanity's Last Exam, Google Gemini 2.5 really pipped the others to the post by a very, very long way. Usually what we see with these AI models is they kind of improve a little bit. This one has gone in really, really high on the top spot. The other things to just mention about Google is that it's really great for coding, and although that might not really be applicable to you, you might start to see a rise in your clients who are a bit more tech savvy using this to create software and applications, and maybe the same with your team as well. The final thing to say is as well, it is free. So Google Gemini 2.5 have released this and made this available to anybody. The two announcements from OpenAI though, which have blown my mind, are image generation tool. And I'm going to go through my three best use cases for that now before I go on to the other aspect. Now, the image generation is really exciting, but also pretty terrifying as well. So in terms of our industry and how we can see an impact on image generation, making our day-to-day life better, I would say to look at it for the potential of doing infographics. So maybe asking it to create charts, statistics, nice visuals for our clients. I've even seen someone do like an Apple iPhone calculator, put the sum in, put the answer, and make it look nice and pretty and easy to digest for their clients. There is also a use case of the image generation in my comments, because Dan Boyle did send me a very cute picture that he'd created, which was a representation of me and being the host of Fried AI. So let me know what you think of that down in the comments. The second use case, which I think is really useful, is branding. As accountants, we are not designers. And yes, okay, it doesn't take that long to stick a logo on something. But imagine if you're using ChatGPT, you've got your conversations on the left. You have one conversation that is called branding. You upload all of your brand guidelines in there, your logos, your headers, anything that you want in there. And then what will happen is every time you ask it something or you feed something in there and say, could you now brand this up? It will be able to do that on your behalf very, very quickly. As I said, this isn't something that would normally take a long time, but it would take longer than it would to do it through the AI model. The third use case is actually pretty scary. I've seen a few people do this now, and I am worried about how we're going to respond. So it can really easily generate realistic receipts and invoices. So if I said to it, please could you produce me a London cab driver's receipt, handwritten, make it look realistic. Could you also include a few crinkles so it looks like it's been in my pocket? It will do exactly that. And we're going to have to be very, very vigilant now as accountants. If I'm honest, I'm not sure how the OCR and approval softwares are going to mitigate this risk. I will definitely be keeping an eye out for that because I'm very, very interested. But it's just so sensational the way it can just create this. Now, one thing I would say to take away from the image generation is to use this to help you train yourself on prompts. It's much easier to learn how to prompt when you're doing something visual, because what will happen is you will ask it to create something. It might not be quite what you want, so you'll tweak and you'll refine and you'll define and you'll give it context until it can create that visual for you. When it comes to text, that's a little bit more difficult to kind of navigate. So what I would say is do it with the image, and it will help you develop your prompting skills when it comes to asking it a normal text-based question. So the final thing and the final bit of news, which is really unbelievably advanced and we never would have seen this coming, is deep research. So ChatGPT have announced that they now do deep research. If you use the Teams version, you're looking at around 10 deep research a month. If you have the Pro version, it's 100. I would obviously just say stick with the 10 for now and see how you get on. Hopefully they will increase these limits. What will happen is when you're on there and you've got the question box to type into, there'll be a little tiny tab that says deep research. It's got a little picture of a telescope on it. Click that before you ask the question. What I found fascinating about this is when I've asked it a question, and again I gave it quite a bit of detail, it then came back and asked me between 3 and 5 questions to really home in on exactly what I wanted to get out of that deep research. So I would definitely recommend exploring that. Don't expect answers instantaneously. It doesn't happen. That's not how deep research works. It will go away and it will do the research for you between 5 and 30 minutes, depending on how much you want in detail. And what's really exciting is down the right hand side of the screen, you can see exactly where it's pulling the sources from, and you can also see exactly what it's thinking and how it's pulling this information and why it's pulling certain information. At the end, it gives you this unbelievable report. I did 2 projects yesterday, one was 10 pages, one was 23, and it even included tables and graphs as well. And as a result, it just meant that I had all that information at my fingertips. It does kind of give you a little bit of an overkill, but think about what you could then do is put that into a Word document and ask Copilot to make it, highlight the relevant points, or you could use it as it is and you've got a huge amount of work that somebody probably would have taken about a week to do. So the 3 big updates this week from Google and OpenAI is really, really exciting. And as I said, there is so much other things that have been going on recently that I just don't have time to cover, but I will cover them in the coming weeks. I'll see you next Friday.